I'm Dr. Kathy Schmidt. I'm an assistant professor of elementary education in the education division, and I teach math, science, and social studies methods for elementary teachers, as well as multicultural education, and then our freshman sequence of introduction and foundations of education. I'm originally an Iowa girl, but then I lived in the Chicago suburbs for over 30 years. I've had a lot of jobs. I started as a medical technologist doing hospital lab work, and then I was a nature guide, took kids out in the woods, and that's why I decided I liked teaching. So I went back to school and got a master's degree and my elementary education license. And I taught middle school for a very long time. I taught math, science, social studies, and gifted. They call it TAG in Iowa. It was magnet in Illinois. And then I decided to get my doctorate, and I went back to school for that. And while I was working on that, I worked at the Illinois Math and Science Academy and did professional development for teachers throughout the state of Illinois and also in some other parts of the country for teaching math and science to middle and elementary school students. And then I eventually ended up here as an education professor. I always say teaching is one of the toughest professions you'll ever love, because not only do you have to want to work with children, you have to know your content knowledge, you have to understand child development, you have to understand education law, you have to understand curriculum, you have to be able to deal with diverse student needs. I mean, it's a very complex job, and it's not a 9-to-5 job. In elementary ed, it's K-6 education, but we also have endorsements in early childhood. So sometimes students who want to be home daycare providers also want to do the early childhood, or you could work in a daycare center. Some students want to get additional what we call endorsements, such as special education or reading, and those can extend the grade levels a little bit, such as K-8 or even all the way up to high school. Some of our PE and special ed majors do K-12. Students can also get into things like counseling, and also working for private organizations that are for child welfare. And so so if we ever have students who decide, maybe I don't want to be a K-12 teacher, there are other things you could do. We always need teachers. And pretty much, as I understand it, if you want a teaching job, you can find one. Now, there are things you can do to make yourself more marketable, such as getting endorsements in special education reading or one of the other areas. For PE majors, maybe you want to look at a coaching endorsement or a health endorsement. But as I understand it, there's a lot of job opportunities. But one of the reasons that Iowa Wesleyan has a really strong program is we get our students into classrooms a lot right from the beginning. You will be doing 3 field experiences, which are out in classrooms. You'll have opportunities in some of your methods courses, like in particular in my math methods and science methods, I try to get kids into classrooms. There are also opportunities for service learning where you can be in classrooms as well as part of your service learning requirements, so you can get a lot of experience in classrooms. I personally also think that one of the strengths of the program is you can really get to know your professors, because you'll have each of your professors several times. I always say that, and also the students can get to know each other very well, because it's a small, tight, cohesive group, and so they can support each other a lot. And especially if you want to work in rural schools, this is a great place to learn how to do that. But also, in inner city or larger city schools, we can train you for that as well. I teach a course about multicultural diversity and all that, and so for service learning, students go out to schools and work with kids where they will encounter diversity. And most people think that's just racial and ethnic diversity, but there's also socioeconomic diversity, there's ability diversity, there's family structure diversity, and there are a lot of opportunities in this area for our students to experience that before they become a practicing teacher. So we do before COVID, we did after-school programs, going in and working with individual students. Now we're doing more things where they team up with a particular teacher and work with students for their service learning. And, if occasionally in my course I do get someone who is not interested in being a traditional K-12 teacher, so then we look for other service learning opportunities that more fit what they want to go into, because not only do you want to do service, you want to learn from it and have it apply to what you want to do.